Well, it's that time of year again. March Madness is here, and CBN Sports' Will Dawson is here to talk about some great faith stories related to the teams that are in. I mean, we're seeing an influx here, Will, of some Christian schools making a splash this year.
We are Grand Canyon, Liberty, and then what's funny is that there's a John Christ social media video that's going around that he's naming all the schools. He's naming Catholic schools. He throws BYU in there and then makes a joke about that as well. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. But he was saying Christians can hoop,
Yeah.
and I
I
believe him.
mean, yeah, I mean, it sure seems like it. And then you have, I mean, not just the Christian schools, Liberty's a great story. They actually uh, were in their championship because usually teams like that level need to win their league championship in order to get a berth into this big tournament here that everybody loves to watch. But they were actually down in their championship game and then just had an absolute flurry at the end. And look at that guy dunking. I have not seen many highlights of Liberty this year, but the one guy I don't, you might know who it was. Will was just cannon threes from everywhere. And so naturally, I picked in my bracket. I'm always going to favor the Christian schools. So I had Liberty winning a couple games here. So we'll see what happens. But great story.
It is a great story. And Liberty, you look at offensive efficiency numbers in all of college basketball, and Liberty is number two. Of course, it's not adjusted for strength of schedule. And so if you look at the Ken Palm rankings, you're gonna see Liberty slide down just a little bit. But they're a top 15, top 20 offense. They're led by a guy named Talon Peter, who just last year was playing Division II basketball. What a wonderful story. Was playing at Arkansas Tech, and he decided to put his name in the transfer portal. Richie McKay, Liberty's coach, recruits him as soon as he sees his name in the portal, because this kid, you're watching the highlights right there. He can shoot, he can dunk. He's averaging about 16 points a game, about 5 rebounds a game, and it's paid off for him. But he was impressed by the question that Richie McKay asked him, and that was, "What's your faith in God like? What's it mean to you?" And so that was something that made an impact on him. But here's what Talon Peter had to say recently.
In the past, I've been tested and it doesn't go good, but here, being with men, godly men that, can see the bigger picture and allow you to see, hardships in a different light allows a lot of growth. Instead of getting angry and doing things out of emotions, you can kind of take a step back and assess the situation, and that's something that I've gotten so much better at since I've been here.
Yeah, very cool to see, Will. And it's not a small thing to make the tournament now, but things are so different with the portal being what it is and the NIL money. And I do think that you're just seeing more kids get an opportunity and they're willing to go to schools where they're going to get time and play. And they don't want to necessarily just go to the big powerhouse school and sit on the bench because I think that it seems like there's more paths now to the NBA or to pro ball than, like you don't just have to go to, a Duke or North or Kentucky or one of these top schools to get noticed.
Mhm.
And I think you're seeing a lot of kids do that. And then as a result, you're seeing some of these teams like are not bad. Like these, in past, like the 16, the 15s, like they'd always just get absolutely steamrolled. And that's still going to happen sometimes now. But they look a lot better though than they did 15, 20 years ago. I mean, maybe it's just me, but that's how I'm seeing it.
I completely agree with you. And I think in some ways, NIL has kind of leveled the playing field here, too. The top schools are always going to get the best players, but those best players are being spread out because there's essentially a salary cap, and so it is spreading those players out just a little bit. And also, you have guys who are fringe second round or undrafted NBA players who have decided I can just make more money by staying in college, and so those guys are sticking around. I know that there are a lot of people who think badly about NIL. The truth is, these athletes do make millions and even billions of dollars for the NCAA and in college basketball. At some point, they were going to have to. It becomes a wage issue for them. It becomes a rights issue for them. And so I don't have a problem with it. I like it. I actually think that college basketball has benefited from it. There need to be some rules established. And I think that that's on the way because it's been the Wild West for the past couple of years since we've been looking at NIL. But man, the excitement around college basketball, and you're right, it's not just the blue bloods. There are plenty of teams that can upset other teams, and Liberty is one of those. Man, watch that game tonight. That they're the last game of the first round, so the last game of the round of 64. Liberty plays Oregon at 10:10 is the tip off tonight, and Liberty is legit offensively. They are legit. Oregon can't score points like Liberty can. My only caveat with a team like Liberty is they only shoot. So they're shooting about 49% from the field. They're shooting almost 40% from the 3-point line, but they're only shooting 66% from the free throw line. And in March, man, those points matter so much.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But the three is the great equalizer there. And, you don't even have to be like a big team. I mean, if you can penetrate and kick and get those shots, then you can hang around in a game. I will say too, the big thing on if you filled out brackets for any number of years, you'll know that there's always a 5-12 upset. That it always happens.
Always.
But McNeese already did it, so I don't know. I think because Liberty's a 12, are they not? I think they're
They
in a
are,
12-5
yeah. The
situation.
12-5.
Yeah,
There have been plenty of years when there are multiple 12s, though. So you could
that's
have
true.
3 12s advance to the next round. But I think that's a great matchup for Liberty because Oregon doesn't. They just don't score the points.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. And I think your point is right on the NIL money, because I think a lot of people are conflicted about that. Oh, they should be just playing for the love of the game. But man, when you're there and you're especially not somebody who's maybe going to get there's only how many guys that go in the first round or two of the NBA. So it's like everyone else is sitting there playing, making millions and millions of dollars for their schools. And they get, yes, they get their education, but I mean, it's just disproportionate to how much money the schools are bringing in. It's almost ridiculous. But college has suffered for a long time of people just saying, you know what, now's my chance to I had a good year. I'm going to go to the NBA. I'm out of here. And this really does give you, I think, a chance for some of these kids to stay a couple years. And so, because they've got to do something to build back up. I mean, you remember back in the day when the Big East, would have all these in the 80s with Patrick Ewing and Georgetown and St. John's and Villanova, and of course, the ACC, Duke, North Carolina. And then now the conferences keep switching around and they're talking about a ACC Big East merger. And so, I think the dust will settle, right? Like we're in the Wild West of like trying to figure out the NIL money. I think that maybe they'll tweak it as we go along here and figure some things out. But I think you're right. I think it's going to even the playing field, make more teams interesting, and then also incentivize kids to actually stay and play a little bit longer and not just try to go to the NBA right away. It'll only be a handful of guys that are one and done, the Cooper Flags of the world. But let's talk about some other teams here. We hit on Liberty. One of the top teams actually has a pretty big faith impact going on right now in Auburn.
Auburn has been the most dominant team all season long, and they did stumble a bit at the end of the season, losing 3 of their last 4 games. But Auburn, an amazing story. I went down and spent some time down there on the plains with Bruce Pearl and a few of his key players, Dylan Cardwell, Denver Jones, and Chaney Johnson. And those guys have benefited so much from their chaplain really investing time into them and instituting a team Bible study that just a few years ago, there was only one person showing up for, and that was Dylan Cardwell, the guy that number 44, 6'11" center. And I talked to them about what is important to them, and because of their faith in Christ, because of their growing faith in Christ, they were talking about how the platform itself is better for them to glorify God, and more so than winning the championship. Here's what Dylan Cardwell said.
My God, I just want the biggest platform to spread the gospel and be a light for God. I could care less about winning a championship, national championship. I just want to be there as a team, just so we can have that platform. That's the biggest platform in college basketball. It's 4 teams, and so everybody's watching. All of America's watching, and how great of an opportunity would it be for this team and for us to go and spread the gospel and be examples.
Man, you gotta love to see that. And I mean, goodness, again, we've talked about this before, Will. We're seeing it in football. You see in basketball, man, these college kids with just what a wonderful head he's got on his shoulders right there, and being in the right place spiritually, and you just love to see it.
And you're seeing it more and more, just like you said. One of the guys you saw praying in the huddle there is Chad Pruitt. He's an assistant coach for Auburn. He's the one that started the Unite Us movement down in Auburn. It started down there in Auburn, and then it spread to college campuses all over the country. And you're seeing thousands of people come to Christ on college campuses. So there is something bigger going on. It's spreading to the basketball court, to the football field, and we love to see it.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. So, great stuff there. Let's, Will, let's talk about predictions here. I mean, you and I, we do these segments and we always have to put our predictions in. I kind of wussed out on my bracket, and I think I had 3 number ones in there and maybe a 2. I kind of chickened out. I mean, wasn't it just last year or the year before when we had like a couple of 11 seeds in the final 4? And yet I'm like, nah, I just got to go number 1 seed. So I actually have Duke going all the way. I mean, I'm a bit of a Cooper Flag stan. I mean, he's incredible to watch, but that team seems stacked. If they're healthy, it seems like they're going to be a tough out. But what do you think?
I don't think you're chickening out at all. I actually have, for the first time in my entire life, I have all 4 number ones making the final
Oh, you
4.
went
And
with it.
this
Oh
did happen.
man.
Yeah, this did happen a couple of years ago when you had North Carolina, Duke, Kansas, and UConn. Well, UConn
Yeah.
wasn't the one. I think there were 3 number ones there, but this year the number 1 seeds have been head and shoulders above the other teams in the tournament. You have a team like Duke that's number 1 that you like with Cooper Flag, Con Knipple. Those guys are young guys who have just continued to get better and better, and we'll see if Cooper Flag's ankle is okay. But the other one is Houston. I mean, a team like Houston, they almost made the Final Four last year. And Houston has always been known for a team that's been a defensive minded team under Kelvin Sampson. They continue to roll, but this year they actually have an offense. They're a scary team. They blew out whoever they played yesterday. They won by 40 points, 50 points, something like that. They are a team that I would be surprised to see upset and not be in San Antonio in a couple of weeks. So, and then the other one is Florida, who Florida scores 272.6 points a game. They are just and obviously that's hyperbole there, but they do score close to 100 points a game. They shoot the 3. They're so efficient. So those 4 teams, in my opinion, are the ones that are head and shoulders above the rest. And I hated to do it because I'm definitely not a Duke fan. I'm not a Florida fan. I would like to see Auburn get there just from having talked to Coach Bruce Pearl and several of those players. I think that'd be fun to be down there with them. But those 4 teams, man, I just don't see anybody upsetting them. But again,
Yeah.
this is not settled like it is in the NBA. It's not the best of 7. This is a one and done.
Yeah.
You have a
Any
bad
given
night
night.
shooting and you could be out.
Yeah, and the other team gets hot and rolling, and look out. And that's what makes the tournament so spectacular and so great. There's so much drama involved in it. And one last thing on Cooper Flag. I mean, this guy, it's such an interesting story. I've kind of gone down the YouTube rabbit holes of nowadays it's like kids throw their video like highlight reels up on YouTube, which always makes me laugh when people are always like, "Oh, look at this guy, he's amazing." I'm like, well, they're not showing you any of the misses. Like, you're just seeing a reel of all the makes. Like, anybody's
Right.
going to look phenomenal when you just string together a bunch of their best plays in a row. But Cooper Flag, like, you could just tell, like, he's got a little something different. He's just kind of got that it factor when it comes to the competitiveness. I mean, everyone's competitive, but like some guys, it's on another level. And when you think about
Yeah.
this kid, he reclassified himself. He should be a senior in high school this year, and he's out here just
Mhm.
cruising along, dominating Division I basketball players. And it is something to watch. And I mean, I'm pretty sure he's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft.
He reminds me so much of Christian Leitner. He had that intensity that I'm gonna dunk it on your head. You saw his mom and dad just screaming. They've got a little bit of that as well. But yeah, he's a guy that you're right. He should be playing, finishing up his state in Maine state championship game, state tournament in Maine. But he's on the biggest stage in college basketball. He's a generational type player. I believe he'll be the number 1 overall pick. And you really need that. This tournament needs guys like that, kind of transcendent players that will, you either love them or you hate them. And a guy like
Yeah.
Christian Leitner, there were a lot of people who hated Christian Leitner. You can root for Cooper Flagg, which it sounds like you do, or you can root for him to lose. But either way, you're going to be entertained because, man,
Yeah.
he is a tremendous player.
No, and that's what college basketball needs, because more of that, because back in, when I was kind of growing up in the 90s and the early 2000s, you had UNLV, you had Duke, right? And like people,
Mhm.
or the Fab Five from Michigan, when that
Right.
that came about, right? And it's like people want to see the future NBA stars, like they want to see them early, they want to see them going, and it's just been hard to connect with that in college over the in the previous like 10 or 15 years. So we'll see if NIL, maybe like we were talking about, turns some of that around. But most importantly for us here, as we were talking about, Will, I'm excited to see these faith stories. Now I know I can cheer for Auburn. I should have picked Auburn a little bit to go a little bit farther. My daughter, bless her heart, she just doesn't know anything about basketball, and she just said, "Oh, Liberty. I'm just going to put Liberty all the way through." So she's got Liberty winning the whole thing in hers.
Hey,
But that's how we roll with it. But it is great to see that, and I know who I'll be cheering for.
yeah, me as well. I haven't said anything about my Kentucky Wildcats. They're a 3 seed. They're never a Cinderella, but hey, this year they are. They've got a tough road. They've beaten Tennessee twice. They could meet Tennessee in the Sweet 16, and then they'd have to go through Houston, which, man, Houston, they're a juggernaut.
Yep, indeed. And three is always a dangerous spot because you're not up at the top, but then you're. I feel like a lot of threes get upset each year. Kind of in round one or two. Hopefully, that's not the case for you here this time
Thank you.
with your
I
Kentucky
appreciate that.
your
I
Kentucky
know you
squad.
mean that
So
too.
yes, yes, indeed. All right, Will Dawson, CBN Sports. Make sure you're checking that out on your YouTube channel over there, Instagram, and everywhere else. Great stories from the sports world. Seeing faith in action on that front. Will, appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Dan.